Welcome back to the Grieving Sisters. I'm
I'm
Jessica.
Elizabeth.
And you should, again, know us by now, but, it is what it is.
We have a special guest
Yeah.
today, repping the boogie down. I see her with her Bronx hat
And
on.
John Jay presenting. And also, this is my prima linda. This is Rosann. And Rosann, you can tell us who you are and what do you do? Tell us.
What don't I do?
I know, right?
So I'm Rosann Santos. I am the director of alumni engagement at John Jay College, which is in Midtown Manhattan. That's the 9 to 5. I also have a business called Rosann Santos LLC, where I do training, keynote addresses, and I'm also a certified coach, which is part of my business. I am this is my new line. I'm part of the sandwich generation. I'm raising a 17-year-old and an 87-year-old.
Wait, no, Ethan is 18 now.
Girl, his birthday was 2 weeks ago.
17. I know.
Yes. So, yeah, I've got this 18-year-old who's leaving in 3 weeks for his freshman year of college. And I have an 87-year-old who moved in 4 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
So not quite an empty nester. Now I'm going into the caregiving chapter of my life.
Right.
And I'm involved in a lot of things. I'm on boards. I have a social life as best I can. And, I'm kind of trying to, my friend said, how do I cram it all in? And it doesn't feel like I cram. It just comes very naturally.
Right.
So
Right.
I have a
So
very
obviously-
full social life.
I feel like, obviously I know Ro, it's actually my husband's cousin, but really my cousin, but we don't tell him that. I mean, but he does know that because he's like, wait.
We push him to the side.
Yeah, and he's like, wait, what cousin you gonna hang out with? I was like, I'm going with Rao, or I'm going with Wendy, or I'm going with Karin. And he's like, my cousin? I'm like, yeah, you mean my cousins?
That's right.
So
She's fully integrated.
Yes. And, as she was talking about her mom, that's who my daughter is named after. My daughter is named after this little pint-sized 4'10" pit bull, and my daughter's nothing shy from that. So, and I love my Thea so much, but even jumping into it, I was there with both of her losses. So it was like pretty much, it was like my brother, then it was your brother, then it was your dad, then it was my dad, and it was just like simultaneously, like within 5 years, 6 years. My brother, it's been 6 years.
Yeah. It feels like it sounds like a long time, but it's not.
No. Can you tell us a little bit about, obviously I know the story, but with Eric, we can talk about Eric a little bit.
Sure.
Eric was your brother and everything, so we can jump into that.
Essentially, literally March 27th, which is a week into the pandemic, he passed of cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
So I often think about, I don't necessarily say that. I just tell people he died during the pandemic because people just assume it was because of the pandemic.
Yep.
And I often think about, and I think I've said this before, it's like, even if we didn't have a pandemic, he probably would have passed away because he had a cardiac arrest.
Right.
And then a year and 4 days later, my dad did die of COVID.
Yeah.
So it's been quite the roller coaster ride. My mom is now 87. She has, I was going to say early.
Don't let her hear you say her age.
I know. I closed the door. So what I was actually going to tell you, don't say their names too loudly.
Okay.
She might have one of her breakdowns and then we'll have to reschedule.
Yes. Yeah.
But she essentially has, I was going to say early stages of dementia, but they're not really early stages anymore. They're pretty much, she's steeped in it.
Yeah.
And it is actually brought on, her diagnosis is actually trauma-induced dementia brought on by depression.
Wow.
So when we talk about what grief can do to the body,
yeah,
she is kind of a textbook example of how the brain reacts, from a health perspective. She's kind of lost it, not politically correct, but that's what it feels like on this end.
Right. And
So
it's
that's,
hard.
that's the story. I mean, cardiac arrest, COVID.
Right, right. But like, so like, because obviously, we definitely really wanted you on the show because it's more so to like keeping up with our niche that, we lost siblings, obviously Liz has not lost her parents or anything
Understood.
in that nature, but just even our siblings, just to
Yeah.
niche down, just to kind of talk more in the sense of like, what are the things that you do to cope, or what did you do to cope throughout?
Yeah. I still have to cope because I she falls apart regularly. So we can't have two grown ass women in the house falling apart. And so for me, upping the ante at the gym, upping the ante on kind of the service work that I do. I'm on 2 boards at the moment. Upping the ante on my business, being busy,
Right,
right? For better or worse, that's one of my coping mechanisms.
right.
Um, and it might sound cliche, but I really have done my absolute best to try to learn from this situation
Mm-hmm.
because he was so young. He was 45.
Yeah.
And what I have learned is I've gone into this preparedness mode, So you talk about fight, flight, freeze.
Right.
I'm fighting.
Mm.
I am making sure we have wills, trust. There's, my comadre knows where the money is. And I was like, if something happens to me while my son is a minor, here's the bank account information. The bank has her name, So I kind of went into this. I don't want my son to go through this. If something happens to me, I have a
Right.
plot at the cemetery. I have all the things, all the
I
kind
did,
of,
I didn't. We have to do it.
and it's not a sexy topic. People don't want to talk about it, especially people of color. They're like, "I no, eso de eso no se habla," as if me saying it out loud
It's gonna
is
make
gonna
it
conjure.
happen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I've coped with staying busy, learning, and on some level, evangelizing. I'm always talking to my friends. Do you have your will? Do you have a trust? Do you have this? Do you have that? I can give you
Power
my
of
attorney's
attorney and
name.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
power of attorney, excuse me, living will, beneficiaries. Do not leave that line blank in your bank
Mhm.
accounts, in your 401k, in your stocks. All of that has to be done while you're still alive.
Yeah, we
Because
Right.
talked about that in an earlier episode of like the beneficiary thing. Like
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
major. And some like my Fidelity account sent me an email like, "Hey, when I started in my new job and they didn't, I didn't set one up yet." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." But even something as simple as like all your passwords.
Mm.
oh
I
yeah,
made sure I
let
wrote
her.
down all of my passwords and I gave it to my mom and I was like, just in case. And then I felt bad because I felt like I triggered her. And I was like,
Mhm.
not in case I die, in case I go to jail or something. Right?
Which could
I
Which is
gotta
happen.
get
more
the money to
likely.
get me bail.
Right. So like that's how I made her laugh. And that's kind of and when we're speaking, I really resonate with you because I know exactly, but maybe not exactly how you feel, but I can understand grieving your sibling, but also grieving for your mom that lost a baby.
Yeah. Oh
Right.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how I constantly feel. I always feel like, not that it's ever a grief competition, but it's like, I always feel like when I'm grieving, I'm like, I don't know how my mom is standing.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if I can barely take it, I don't know how she is. And I do the same thing where I'm mindful not to cry so much. I'm mindful, right? Because you try to hold it
Yeah.
together for your mom, you know?
Well, not
Yeah.
just for her, but for my son,
Yeah.
right? He has to live his life. He has to have a parent who is functioning.
Right.
I would even say beyond functioning. I have to thrive. I can't
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
struggle and survive because he's
Right.
watching my mom kind of fall
Mhm.
apart.
Right.
And it's interesting because we had a conversation about, well, this is what I need to come up with a plan because if this happens to me, if I have Alzheimer's, dementia, or I can't make decisions, we have to figure out what if your wife hates me? I'm not trying to be put into some corner, right? So I'm going to make those decisions for myself
Right.
in advance. And I was starting the conversation with him And he's like, Mom, just don't let it happen to you. And that's a 17-year-old response, right?
Yeah.
I do a lot of things to keep myself healthy, but in the end, I don't have any control if that's already part of my DNA,
Right.
right? So that I cope that way. I cope by preparing, by getting everybody around me who I love ready, because
Right.
it's going to happen. I'm not going to live.
Right.
I'm not a
It's the
vampire.
the
I'm
inevitable.
not immortal.
Right.
So it's going to happen.
It's true.
And
It's true. Yeah. And it's hard. I have 2 teens, and it's like,
so you know.
I don't want to have these conversations. My son is 15. And after my sister passed, I bought a house soon after. And I was like, this is what I'm going to leave you guys. This is how much it's worth now. This is what it's projected to be. Listen, you take this, you split it down the middle. You guys could each go buy a condo. Da, 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 da. And my son is like,
Not ready for that
It's a lot.
conversation.
no, I'll never sell it. I'll never sell it. I'm like, but I'm telling you that in the event that something happens to me, this house is for you and your sister. You do what needs to be done. This is where the paperwork is. I have a flash drive that I made. And I was
Oh,
like,
good
this
for
flash
you.
drive
You're
has
on it.
everything on it. It's the deed. It's everything. I'm like, you take this, and this is what you need, because I don't have generational wealth. I don't know what to leave. So when this happened, I was like, I need to buy some property. I need to be able to like take care of them. But to your point, they don't want to have this conversation. And he's like, well, I said, no, you have to start taking how will you take care of yourself after, this happened? Because you don't know. I mean, I read this article that killed me, but it basically was like, when somebody suffers like a very tremendous loss, sometimes they get like another 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
I was conditioned to think, okay, I've got maybe 10 years, God forbid, but I started planning that way back.
Yeah. And just to go back to my preparedness mode, a flash drive might be the equivalent of a cassette deck tape in 10 years.
Yeah.
So not even that is foolproof. You know what is foolproof? Printing all of it out and putting it in a lockbox in the bank or in a
They also
fireproof
have
spot.
this thing. Oh my God, I have to send it to you on Amazon. I have it. It's sitting in my cart. Like, unlike the 15 other books that I have sitting in my cart.
Yeah.
But I have it, and it has it's actually fireproof. And it's like all these sleeves and compartments that you can put all the paperwork. I know I got to get to it. I'll get there. I just need like a day. But you know how it is, toddler life.
But little by little, I'm sure you didn't do everything in a day. I'm sure it was a process.
So yes, it was a process because I didn't have a choice.
Right.
My brother didn't leave a will. So it all went into probate. So I had no choice but to be part of the process.
Right.
And because of that process, you can do everything quickly, but it costs money. So if you have the money, it can be done quickly, right? They say if you have the money, you could do anything fast.
Yep, money talks.
But if you don't have the money, I would not recommend like a legal Zoom do-it-yourself kind of thing when it comes to this.
Right. Get a lawyer.
If you want to go legal Zoom because you have to create a lease because you own a property and you have a tenant, okay. If you want to create an LLC, yes, I think legal Zoom is fine. If you're trying to create a will and a trust and a power of attorney, I think that stuff is a little too intricate and you leave yourself open to fraud or maybe something messy if you don't do it right. So you might have to save the couple G's to pay a legit attorney who knows what the heck they're doing.
Right.
So it doesn't have to take a long time if you've got the money sitting in the bank.
Right.
It does take a long time if you want it done right and you can't do it all at once because it is an expense.
Right. I can see that. Now, I know we talked about, so what happened was, just to let the audience know, we tried to do like a Zoom thing and then Liz screen recorded it and and there was no volume. So now
there was no volume.
So we called Marv and we're like, Marv, can you save us? And he's like, there's no volume. I'm like, that's what we're trying to fix. So there's some episodes that we're like, yeah, we had Rosann on, right? Because we're like, oh, we're going to upload this and start using it for content. Psych.
Now, finally, when this episode comes down, they'll be like,
it's Rosann.
It's the lost files. It'll be the lost files.
Right. That's right.
But we're happy to have you back.
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm so proud of you guys, what you're doing, the
Thank
messaging.
you.
It's really good.
We're trying. It's overwhelming in the sense of there's just a plethora of information that's out there. And it's not even about like misinformation, right? Because it's everybody's experience is different.
That's right.
So that's like the question I wanted to ask, I guess on my end, like, because we've talked about like death anniversaries, birthdays. And I know that you had said something really profounding, but I'm going to see if you remember what you said.
Yeah.
Even though that was how many months ago? I think that was back in March.
Yeah, I think it was
March or April.
early.
Yeah.
My philosophies on life don't change. So I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay. So like when we talked about like anniversary, like what do you usually do to kind of celebrate them, or, what do you do? What's your thing?
So I am not big on the anniversaries.
Yeah.
I don't want to celebrate a death anniversary. I celebrate their lives every day. I celebrate I notice something and I'm like, oh, that reminds me of my dad. Or my son will do a really dry joke and we'll look at each other. He's like, oh, that's an abuelo joke. Like a dad joke, like a dad joke. And and the two of us will die laughing. It's like, that's an abuelo joke. And that can happen on a random Tuesday, on a random month, at a random time. Right. So for me, it's about celebrating their, when I remember them, or if I see a photo. I've celebrated my dad in particular. I joined Toastmasters and he was a big active member of Toastmasters. So I am now a Toastmasters member, and I celebrate him like that. My brother, he was a tough nut to crack. So, I celebrate him by doing right by the inheritance, if that makes sense. So he left us a little something, it's not Rockefeller stuff, but he left enough that I can send my kid to college. I can put some away. I can even invest some, making sure my mom is going to be okay. So I celebrate him by trying to put my feet in his shoes, because he was very good with money and I wasn't. So I celebrate him by being good with money, by doing right by...
Yeah. Thank you, Marv.
Yeah. What?
No.
What was it?
Oh, I thought it was.
We heard
that was your point. Oh, was that your
crazy?
No. I should turn my focus on. That was like a text.
No. So sometimes Marv will hit little sound effects. So when you were like, it went ding, and we laughed. That's why she's probably like, why the hell are you laughing? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably him. That's ding. Ding. That's right.
That is so funny. We were waiting for like an on-air sign.
Thank God.
All right. So hey, if I got some little escalofrío, some goosebumps. I will tell you another way that I celebrated them. And Jess, I don't know if I shared this with you. This house that I bought had them written all over it.
Oh, yes. We talked about it.
We did talk about it.
The St. Michael's?
St. Anthony.
St. Anthony, sorry. Yes.
Well, very quick. I mean, obviously, you can chop it up in the cutting board if you choose.
Yes.
The people who own this house were old school Italian, very Catholic.
Wait, there's like a wine cellar that they can make their own wine, but we don't know if it's functional. But I told Rosann, go get it functional so we can have a girls' night and we can make our own wine.
I'm probably dating myself, but for any of you who know I Love Lucy, there's an episode where they're crushing wine with their feet.
What's my sister's favorite show?
Yep.
I didn't know. So this house, they were very they had a huge Virgin Mary statue shrine at the front of the house, which I got rid of. That's just not my style.
Yeah.
I donated it to a church. However, they also had tucked away, as soon as you walk into the main entrance, if you look to the left, there's like a beautiful garden. They had a statue of St. Anthony. I didn't notice the statue until I walked out when I came to see the house. So I kind of just went right to the front door. I was like, I need to see this house. I told my realtor, I found it on Zillow. I was like, I need to see it. There was something about it. I was like, I need to get eyes on it. But not even the next day, that night, I said, I want to put an offer on it. As I'm walking out of the viewing of the house, I suddenly I don't know, you get like the
little heebie-jeebies.
I don't know, the feels. And I look, and there's a freaking statue of St. Anthony. That was my father's patron saint, because they're both named Anthony. That's their middle name. Eric Anthony and Heraclio Anthony, which is why my dad is Tony.
Tony, yeah.
Was Tony, yeah. So my dad used to have a little prayer card that he had hung in the kitchen, and for the life of me, Jess, I don't know where that thing went. I was looking all over for it with his belongings.
Yeah.
And he always had this little St. Anthony card, and he would always say, hoy es la fiesta de San Antonio, hoy es mi fiesta. And so he was always talking about St. Anthony, the Feast of St. Anthony. That was his thing. He named his son my brother's middle name was Anthony. All of his brothers, that's their middle names, is Antonio. My brother, and we might have a cousin who also is Anthony. Okay. So when I saw the St. Anthony, I started crying. And then my realtor was like, what's wrong? She was stressed out. Like, what happened? And I told her the story. She started crying. And so I said, I need to kind of think about it. I don't want, I'm also very kind of practical. And I was like, I can't let this be the reason I put a bid on this house. Right. But lo and behold, before I even got back to my apartment, I was like, let's put a bid. Let's put an offer. They took my offer, and I've been here almost 3 years. The statue is still there. I want to buy like a little bench in front of it and like carve a little, like, like what they put in cemeteries, have a little dedication on it. I haven't gotten there yet.
My mom did it for my sister in the Florida house. They have a little bench.
Yeah. So when I bought the house, this is honoring them, because it's for my son. Like, like you said, this is what I'm giving my son. I was like, you could do whatever you want with it. You could sell it. You could move your family in here, whatever. My mom is big enough for my mom to live in here. I host Thanksgiving, Christmas. I can host guests. So it's an honor. I honor them that way too, because I was able to take some of what I left, and I was able to, put a down payment and just, do the things. So this is how I honor them, every day, living in this house, making sure I pay my bills, making sure my son and my mom have a place to live.
When you said, it was one of the things that you said, it's not like I lost them and it was, I don't have the rest of these years with them. I was able to have the 45 years with them, or I was able to have those times with them. And that's what stuck with me. Yeah. Because it was just something positive.
Well, that was part of my eulogy for my dad. So when I was talking about, I had something written out and I said some words at his, I guess it's an internment. It's not a burial because he's in a wall. He's in a niche. A niche. And I said, I was devastated, but I was lucky. I was a daddy's girl for 50 years. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It was like, how can I complain? There are people out there. I was at a writing retreat several weeks ago, and there's a lot of people who have trauma created by their fathers who weren't around or who were abusive. And I was like, I don't have that story. Like, I was a daddy's girl for 50 years, and I'm just so grateful that he was not my trauma. Right. There's so many people who have trauma because of a parent. Right. And
it's a beautiful legacy that he left.
He was great. Every time I still hear his voice in the back of my head, Sobrina, come sit. Sobrina, come on, tell me what's going on.
Yeah. He was like a mayor. He was the mayor of the neighborhood. He was the mayor of the family. He was the mayor of all the different social clubs he was part of. And, getting back to honoring him. So I told you that I joined Toastmasters. For those of you who don't know, it's like a place where you can develop your leadership and speaking skills.
I'll be there at the end of the month.
I was asked to do what they call a test speech at a conference, a Toastmasters conference, because they have contests. And so they have what they call an evaluation contest. So I give a speech and people evaluate it. And those evaluators are competing about who had the most impactful evaluation of my speech. So I'm sitting there with my speech. They're like, please welcome Rosann Santos, yada, yada, yada. I kid you not, a dozen people came up to me and they're like, are you Tony Santos's daughter?
Oh.
Yeah. This was just about 2 months ago.
And my gosh.
Yeah. I didn't want to cry, Jess. Come on.
I'm still standing.
It's okay. I cried, you cried. It's okay.
I'm not there yet.
So they said,
Oh,
They were like, "Is Tony Santos?" He was my mentor. And then another person stops me in the hall. "Do you know your father was my mentor? Oh my God, your father helped me start a club. He was my mentor." It's like,
he impacted so many people.
guess what my speech was about?
Your father?
Why mentorship matters.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the
Wow.
name
Now
of
my
the.
ears are.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know these people were gonna be there.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
it was pretty profound.
Yeah. And impactful.
Thank
Holy
you so
moly.
much for sharing that with us. Sometimes things just go full circle,
Yeah.
and you just got to know that it's. I believe that he's very proud of you.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And
He would
listen,
tell, I didn't have to guess. He would tell me often. He would say, "I
Yeah.
love you. I'm proud of
Yeah.
you. You're great. Do this, do that."
Yeah.
very
I-
encouraging. Always
Yeah.
very,
Yeah.
very encouraging.
But that encouraging spirit stays long after.
Yeah.
It does.
You know.
It does. It does.
Wow, I didn't know this. Oh, well, I mean, we haven't caught up yet. So we usually have
Yeah.
our summer catch
Yeah.
up or summer dump, and
Yeah.
we catch up. And I'm
that's
like, I
so
love
nice.
this.
Yeah.
I love this. And
Sometimes when I get down on myself, I'm like,
what would Nat do?
my sister, I do. I have WWND. What would Nat do? So
I love
and
that.
then also like so much of her friends
Yeah.
have reached out to me and have become my friends on social media and things like that. And they were just like, "Are you her favorite person? Like she would not shut up about her
Mhm.
big sister. My big sister's fine. My big sister this. My big sister that." And I'm like, you know what? In her eyes, I was that bitch. So you know what? I'm gonna be that bitch today. Today, I'm gonna be Nat's big sister. So yeah,
That's
I mean,
funny.
you find those moments where you feel like you're doing something that would make them proud, and
I
I
think
believe
so.
they are.
It was
I
my
feel
brother
like-
too. My brother too. Even when I think I went to like this CBD thing with Salam, and like there was like Channel 7 News, and I was like, "Yo, let me get that microphone." And I was like, "Let me just take a picture." And I just took a picture, and he was like, and it's under. If you see the picture, he actually commented. He was like, "Yeah, this is you. This is you." And I'm like, "Me? I'm just like joking around, I'm playing games over here." The guy was like, "Whatever you do, don't throw the microphone." I was like, "No, I'm not going to drop it. I know it costs like thousands of dollars. I'm not going to slam it on the floor." But
Yeah.
he was like, "Do you want me to take a picture?" And I was like, "Nope, this is perfect."
But it's so true. Like, he saw you in front of a microphone before you did. You know what I mean? And it's like
Imagine that.
the people who love us do see things about us before we notice them in ourselves, right? Because we're our biggest critics.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for being with us today. Thank you for
Again,
making
yes.
time. A second time after I messed up the audio on the first video. I did. I screen
Wow, it's
recorded, not
awesome.
realizing that
Well,
the
can you
audio.
double check with Marvin that he could hear me and that we're
Right,
good?
We're so good.
We're good. We're good.
professional now. This is
Oh,
all
yeah.
professional. There it is.
We've been
That wasn't it. That wasn't me. Oh, lots of bells. We got a lot of bells. I love it. I love it. No, this is an honor. This is a privilege.
Thank you.
I think the work you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
I tell people about it all the time. I will
you.
admit it's not something that I can binge on. So
No.
I will go on Netflix. So I have certain podcasts where I'll listen to the last 10 episodes in a row.
Yeah.
I can't do that with this. This I have
Yeah.
to do a little bit at a time. I have to be in that kind of frame of mind.
Yeah.
But they're all downloaded and each one
Yeah,
gets
we recognize that it could be triggering. That's why we do like
Yeah.
20-minute episodes
Yeah.
because we
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like this
smart.
is bite-sized healing here.
Right,
You know,
right.
right?
And just digestible
love that.
content, and I think it's so important. But okay, where can our audience find you if they want a career coaching, things of that nature?
RosannSantos.com, or you could
That's-
just slide into Jessica's DMs and she'll forward you to me.
Yes.
Yes. But RosannSantos.com, I'm there. I'm also on LinkedIn, Rosann Santos. There are no E's in my name, FYI. So
yes.
you spell it exactly how you want to, and then delete the E's. That's what I tell people because it's just like they want to. But yeah, I'm easy to find. I'm a pretty open book. And if you're interested in learning more about what I do and how I do it, I'm here for it.
Amazing.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
much. And,
you guys
and
are
to our
amazing.
audience, you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok. Did I
That's
miss
all of
any?
them. No,
Okay,
I was
that's all of
waiting.
them? I'm like, wait, let me go down I gotta go down the list. But just to make sure that everybody knows, like, subscribe, follow, send to a friend that if you feel like they may be in need, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's
because we're
about
not
finding the
alone.
right community, and we
that's
can only
it.
find the right people if we're sharing. So
Thank you so much.
thank you so
You're
much.
in and out.